if you start cramping up or something, just let us know.
Yeah, I'll give you a thumbs up. I'll be like waving over here like help.
Okay.
All right.
Should I be looking at you?
Honestly, whatever floats your boat. Yeah,
I'd be more comfortable looking at you.
Perfect. Yeah, me too.
All right.
Okay.
So whenever you guys are ready.
Perfect. So our first question, we're gonna start pretty basic, is just what does art mean to you on a personal level, and I guess how does it impact you? Like, what are the ways that you think about art as a concept?
I think art, first and foremost, can serve as self-expression, but it can also be a form of protest. It could be, art can be very political. It could be just an expression of beauty, or like, I don't know, maybe there's something about it that can express freedom too, because if you're able to express your emotions in a new way that isn't maybe limited by words, I think it's a different form of self-expression, but it can be very powerful too. It can elicit change.
Absolutely. Very cool. Very like pictures worth 1,000 words kind of.
Sure, yeah.
Kind of thing. For the museum specifically and campus, how do you select the artists and exhibits that we work with? Like, what's your kind of thought process going into that?
Sure. So some of our exhibits are sort of predetermined, like the Master of Fine Arts thesis exhibition, which we'll be putting up in 2 weeks. So the master's students here, who are in now, I believe it's a 2-year program, they have to do an exhibition for their thesis, in addition to a written thesis. So we install those exhibits next door. So I believe this year we'll have 4 MFAs. So that's kind of predetermined. You know, every year there'll be people graduating. And it could be 1, it could be 6. We just have to flex to make that work. Other exhibits could come from the Jordan Schnitzer Family Foundation, who we have a connection with. That's located in Portland, and so the Art of Food comes from Jordan Schnitzer's collection of prints, you know, and sculptures, I guess. So that's kind of a collaboration that we have going on over the years. We borrow from his collection. Other exhibits could be from other, I guess less often from other museums, like a traveling exhibition. We also curate exhibitions from our permanent collection, which is what you see here. This is close to 4,000 works of art that is the university's permanent collection. So it's a hodgepodge, but it's planned out at least 2 years in advance. And then because we have so many galleries in that space, sometimes, you know, MFA will need 4 galleries and something else. It's a real planning, you know, there's a timeline and yeah, but usually it's planned 2 years in advance.
Oh, wow, 2 years. So for collections like the Art of Food, are those already kind of like each, I guess, artwork already put together? Is that something you do? Like connect all of them to
the Art of Food was a pre-existing exhibition that was put together by the Jordan Schnitzer Family Foundation. And it traveled around and it came to us. So it was already pretty well formed. Then once we get the artwork in the space, often we'll determine, oh, this is a little bit too crowded, let's pull a few pieces. So we don't necessarily include everything because we want it to, first and foremost, be a cohesive exhibition. So like, I believe 3 pieces from that show were set aside and weren't used, but everything else was.
Very cool. Okay. As far as like the long distance, if applicable, and moving art pieces here, like what sort of challenges do you face as far as physically getting the art into the museum?
Well, often we use art handling companies, and so they're like, that's just their job. They do that. There are small ones that we use frequently, kind of within the region, but then there are bigger national companies that say, we loaned a painting to a university museum in Maine, so we packed it up and they hired a company to pick it up, transport it to Maine for a year, brought it back to us. So it's a combination of things. Sometimes, which I actually like the best, is when we transport the art ourselves, which is like renting a 26-foot U-Haul, packing everything up, strapping it in, tying it down, going on a road trip. Like that's actually the most
I was gonna say that
fun.
sounds like fun.
Yeah. It's a lot of heavy lifting and a lot of physical labor, but I like it the best.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But we can't do it all. We're a really small staff, so you know.
Do you guys set up, like choose where the art goes in
Yes.
the museum?
Yeah, completely. We have our director is also our curator, and he is he'll do a layout on a program on his computer with thumbnails of the artwork and kind of play with it. And then once we have the artwork unpacked in the space, we'll lay it out around, like sitting on a blanket or a protective, something on the floor. We'll lay it out around on the walls, and then, you sit and look at it and then rearrange. And sometimes it's quite a process. Could take days just to get it working.
Yeah. Wow. I guess moving on to future trends, as far as upcoming events, what do we have to look forward to for the museum and
Yeah.
its place on campus and everything?
Sure. So today's pretty exciting because we have the Mount St. Helens ceramic work that's on display in the pavilion. There'll be a lecture, I believe it's by Cassie, who is the ceramics person here in Fine Arts. And then Eo Palmer, I believe, is also involved. She's the ceramics professor at WSU. So that's kind of a fundraiser. They'll be selling the plates. I think there are 50 of them. And then next week we'll be deinstalling the Art of Food. So that'll be a huge job. Each artwork has to be, we call it condition reporting. So we have to we have a big binder of the history of the condition of each work of art. We have to look at it and make sure there's no additional damage. Wrap it in plastic and bubble wrap or cardboard or whatever. And then all that artwork goes into crates and will be shipped out next Thursday morning. So that entire exhibition will be down and shipped out by Thursday morning. Then the week after that, we'll be installing the Master of Fine Arts thesis exhibition. So that's exciting.
That's super exciting.
Yeah.
Very cool.
And then a little bit further in the future is pretty big name artist on the world stage, Anish Kapoor. We're going to have an Anish Kapoor exhibition, which has been a dream of our curators for, 10 years. He's been trying to make this happen. Yeah. So I think he's thrilled to have that coming in, and it feels amazing to have an artist of that scale and for the students and community members to be able to see.
Yeah.
So,
I can. That kind of leads me to my next question. If money and time were not an object, who would be your dream artist to feature in the museum? And I know it's an impossible decision.
I feel like Anish Kapoor is already amazing.
Pretty up there.
Should have thought of this in advance because my mind's just going crazy right now. Maybe I'll take a step back so I have time to think about it. But we already are super fortunate that we have a large collection of prints by Andy Warhol.
Yeah.
Over 100 prints and photographs by Andy Warhol in the permanent collection. We've got over 200 prints by Jim Dine, who's also a pretty well-renowned pop artist. So we're super fortunate already. I'll have to get back to you on my dream artist.
That is okay.
Yeah.
But that was honestly our last question. So great. Thank you so much for your time.
Yeah, thank you.
That was awesome.
My pleasure.
I think we're good.